Hello everyone and welcome back to the Wicked Weekly. My name's Brian if you happen to be new around here, and Thomas has been sharing some exciting news. In fact, we do have a release window for patch number 1 and we have some dates to actually look at. Thomas is sharing this out. He's not exact to the specific date. That's why I'm calling this video a release window. But generally speaking, we are not that far away from patch 1. And by that, I mean perhaps here in a week or two. But we'll dive into it. I'll share with you guys exactly what he has to say. There's a lot to unpack in this video, co-op updates, and so much more. So sit down, grab yourself a coffee or a nice little drink, and buckle up because we're going to get into all the latest updates from the developers and a little bit of dev Q&A as well. And as usual, we'll wrap up, especially with this month being June, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. We'll wrap up with our message of hope. Let's kick it off first. Thomas jumps into the Discord yesterday with a yo folks, saying, I did spend the weekend with family again, but nah, we are just insanely busy. We're fixing up so much stuff and adding so many new features. They're working on the trailer already. This plays into very much what we're about to talk about, so just buckle up, like I said. Thomas goes on to say, pretty sure that we won't even call it patch 1. We're going to give it a sexier marketing friendly name. Thomas has kind of teased that in the past, and I'm really looking forward to it actually having its own name, because patch 1 does cause a lot of confusion because people tend to say 1.0. 1.0 is more reserved for when the game officially releases sometime perhaps in 2026. Like I keep telling you guys, I'll keep you guys up to date of all the latest news and more. Now, he goes on to say the goal of this patch is to fix basically most of all the complaints that have been brought up of the game so far. And he does think it's going to be quite interesting. Right now, he goes on to say that they have a 91% very positive reviews, which is pretty crazy. And this should do them some good during the summer game sale on Steam. This is, oh dude, I can't wait. Like, we're just one or two comments away from giving you guys the details here. All right, he goes on, especially because at least he has some realistic expectation. Yes, there's probably going to be some negative reviews. There's going to be people who don't like certain aspects of any kind of update. That's natural, and at least he is very well aware of that. But speaking of the summer game sale, this is what I've been teasing, and hopefully not too wasting too much of your time. Thomas says, some of you are going to be able to play quite sooner, when responding to looking at maybe September, October for the co-op update with that estimate. So some of us will be able to play sooner than that. We're, obviously public test realm. I have not gotten word one way or another if I'm in that group, but if I am and I can share it, I'll let you guys know. Then some of us are going to be able to play patch 1 very soon even. And when it says some, it's very curious, but this is where it gets interesting. In reply to hoping you can catch the drop patch 1 in the Steam summer sale, Thomas winks. And I think this kind of really does point to when this soon means. If we look at the Steam summer schedule, Steam Next Fest is going on right now, June 9 to the 16th. Right now, at the time of this recording, it's the 11th. So I'm not personally expecting it this week. The Fishing Fest for Steam, June 16th through the 23rd. But most realistically, we're looking at the Steam Summer Sale, June 26th to July the 10th. And that gives them enough time to finish the trailer, make sure and test the patch. And going back again to what he said, some of us will be able to play it soon. He might be opening up that public test realm to get more feedback and get more testers playing the latest build. So that way, when it does go live, they don't run into the same issues that they had with the breach and obviously the negative kickback that followed from there. So patch number 1 is looking to be pretty freaking solid. It's going to have some content in terms of like weapons. It's going to be mostly focusing on quality of life, bug fixes, etc. I think that's going to be really important, but it does pave the way to the co-op release, which is going to be their next major milestone. He has more to share about that and we'll dive into it. But first, I do want to say thank you guys so much to the 525 new faces here at the channel. Thank you so much for taking a chance on the content and hitting that subscribe button. Welcome in, welcome back. I'm really so blessed to have you guys, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy the content. Also, huge thank you. In my last Wicked Weekly, I shouted out the podcast channel, the Gaming Roundtable. We're currently going through a rebranding, so I shared that we had lost, at least 20 subscribers. Now we're actually back in the green with +4 positive for the trend. And you guys can see here when I put that out there in the world, 16 of you guys went and hit that subscribe button. You followed the link in the description and you did that. We do a podcast every Friday at noon. It's live streamed. We love getting involved with the community. And we hope that maybe if you're looking for kind of a gaming podcast just to fill out your week, you give us a shot. And I do appreciate it if you do. All right, let's dive back into what Thomas has to say, because we still got plenty to cover. And as you can see from the thumbnail on this video, some interesting stuff is absolutely on its way. All right. In response to, have you been playing the patch? How does fast travel feel? Thomas replies, feels good. We're only allowing players to teleport to primary whispers initially, so you don't have that free fast travel, but you can now upgrade your whispers as well to ultimately unlock fast travel on all of them if you're so inclined, but it's going to cost you. So I'm all in on upgrading. I love investing not just in my player, but obviously into the world. Those quality of life things that I earn do end up feeling really well. The way I interpret this, because initially I was like, he talked about upgrades. It does sound like they will open up primary whispers, and it'll be interesting to see how we identify what's a primary, because there are whispers all around the map. I'm guessing maybe kind of a key aspect for the start of the zone initially. It does sound like we'll be able to teleport. I'm thinking Crucible. I'm thinking the starter whisper in each of the zones. Maybe that's what he means by primary. Following that, it sounds like we can invest and upgrade all the whispers so they become available for teleport. Time will tell, and we do know that is coming in patch number 1 alongside the gym removal. There is a lot of things to be excited about, and I cannot wait to share those patch notes and just the gameplay impressions with you guys as well. Anyway, in response to how does range combat feel even with magic having shifted to the stamina, this is what they're doing in patch number 1 as well. Again, you're not going to have to use focus just to use a basic ranged attack. Thomas goes on to say, I think I've got working quite nicely. The fire dart, ice dart, arrow, fireball, etc. are all now stamina based. But they deal less damage and less range, but do have the ability to gain focus. The bow has to be charged up a bit in order to reach its full distance. I hope that they also add in kind of a charge aspect to magic as well, because that could be the risk versus reward, right? Like, in order to have greater range, well, you're going to have to stand still and charge up that attack. Well, we will see, and we'll obviously go hands-on with it when it does drop. He goes on to say, so you now are going to have a little bit of a laser pointer on the bow, and that starts off a bit crooked. But if you hold it a bit, it will become straight. So still holding effects, distance, and damage. So it's going to be fun to see. I'm really looking forward to that change. I'm currently working on my strength build, and then we'll go back to my mage build, which is my lowest level one currently. Anyway, I'm having a blast. All right. In response to they get focus gain? Thomas says, what's even crazier? You're actually now going to get focus and XP from farming resources. Makes it quite satisfying to cut down a tree and see your stuff go up. I'm excited about that. That's actually one of the things that, like, if especially in the gameplay that you guys see me put out there in the world, it's like, yeah, I will take time to go farm resources. There's a real value for that. I do wonder if that also applies to like picking mushrooms and plants. That's going to help, continue to make that a very well worthwhile activity. So I'm gonna have some fun playing around with that, and then we can kind of play we can go from there. In response to try to sell what people don't think multiplayer is getting pushed back. This is in regards to the fact that there might be people who expect patch 1 to include multiplayer. I've been trying to be very clear with everybody. We didn't know quite yet what the order was. It's now very clear. Patch number 1's next. Multiplayer sometime after that, but before September, October, which really kind of falls in line with the time frames that I've been giving you guys. So I'm pretty thrilled about that. I can't wait to lock it in with a hard date, but we'll wait to see. Thomas says, the multiplayer has not been pushed back. We're working on multiplayer tech stuff in the background, and it's actually more tech than design focused, which is an important aspect. Basically, for those of you who don't know, it's a whole different department. So multiplayer did not get pushed back. there's a different department from everybody else who's working it, whose sole job is focusing in on multiplayer. We have seen it working. We've seen it in the trailer. It is on its way. It's just a matter of letting them cook to make sure that it is a good multiplayer experience. In time will obviously tell. I think early access is the perfect time to test that out, so any issues can get worked out by them and us as a community. All right. When will there be an ETA on co-op? Is it going to be after this patch? Thomas confirms it is the next big update after the breach. So there's going to be this patch. And here's what's interesting. Maybe another patch. Well, I guess we're calling patch 2. And then there's going to be co-op. So I think especially when he talks about patch 2, and I'm only labeling it that for the time being, it's very well could be a hot fix that he's referring to. It's very well being some more adjustments that maybe haven't been able to get fit into patch 1, and then the co-op update would drop after that. Ultimately, again, when we go back to the time frame, some of us will probably be playing it sooner. Hopefully we can give you guys impressions and really test it out to make sure that it is working the way that it should, so that it's a good experience when more people come in, because we know the co-op update is something that a lot of people are looking forward to. And I hear my single players out there, again, co-op completely optional. No one's going to be forced into doing it. There's not going to be a quest that is required that you have a friend to go and do it to unlock. None of that's going to be in this game, and I'm on board with that. All right. Let's dive back into what Thomas got to say. Chameleon writing, well deserved, love the game from the first few minutes. It saw the pre-EA stream. And Thomas says, well, also Realm Tiers is going to have and fix that, dealing with the challenges. He says, if you want a challenge, we think that we've proven that we can give you a challenge. And we know Realm Tiers, at least as confirmed so far, and if I'm misremembering, I do apologize. Never want to give you guys bad info. Realm Tiers is what's also coming with patch number 1. I can't wait to have a different name for it. Maybe we'll make it up, the Wombat patch, for the wicked wombats. But here we go. Control Alt Delete says, as long as it's made clear that patch 1 isn't co-op, complaints should be minimal. Of course, some will say y'all said co-op was the next thing out ASAP. And Thomas says, I really hope that won't be the case. Patch 1 was basically about polishing everything and quite literally reacting to the feedback, much like they did with the Crucible update, which for some people, they wanted more out of it. And I get that. But I think this is essentially kind of the pattern. They put out a really big update. They have kind of this bigger follow-up that really kind of addresses what gamers are doing, the data, the communication, and all of that's really great. Now, he also goes on, this is where things get kind of fun, where talking about like wikis and things like that. We have people in the community that are working on those things as they get fleshed out. I'll be sharing them here with you guys. Obviously, want to continue to shout out content creators. We've had Wicked Builds come by the live stream multiple times. So if you guys are looking for more build guides and some more, he's been able to put out some really great stuff, some really cool builds. So be sure to check out Wicked Builds when you have the opportunity. But same thing with Wiki. Thomas actually goes on to say they're going to work on fixing up the exporter so that they can hopefully help out Wiki content creators, but they might honestly just focus in on doing their own companion app. Time will tell. We'll see what that ends up meaning for the game itself. Also going on to say that Whitaker and Eleanor are actually going to have both of their buildings streamed into Sacrament. So no more when you enter in the door seeing these black screens, with the hope of ultimately bringing our homes and everything into this seamless experience without having these different loading screens. Now, this is where things get fun. Thomas sharing off lots of different screenshots about things that are coming to the game. Now, he does go on to say that some of these things are in patch 1 and some of these are for later. So there isn't a designation that you're going to see all of this in patch 1, but this is something that is patch 1 forward. One thing, they're coloring the door red and following up saying based off of what's happening in the door, this is going to force them to change their ratings, which is already rated M. So I don't know what that, maybe just the descriptions of what is happening in the game itself. In response to Zach, who says, is all of this planned for patch 1? Thomas confirms some of it is obviously for later, but goes on to highlight more curved great swords. You can see them visually here. Same thing applies to more scythes, so you can see them visually here as well. And as a note, don't waste your goat blood. Thomas continues to remind us not to waste or sell our goat blood, and you can see this creature is massive. When chat asked what the heck is that, he says, what you're not seeing is how huge this thing is. It pretty much covers the entire screen. So it looks like we're going to be fighting some really interesting boss with fingers as their own hands. It's wild stuff, dude. All right. Then he goes on to highlight lots of things coming to housing, namely carpets to match basically what you are putting in your chests. That's going to be very nice, very clean. Also showing off lots of racks for weapons and saying that racks are, everybody's getting racks. So that's really great. And you can kind of highlight it here, showing off your most prized possessions in your home. Now, when all of this is being shared, Hey Bro Kirk says, are crossbows coming? And Thomas confirms, yes, crossbows are on the way. We don't know yet if that is going to be patch 1. Ultimately, with new weapons, I kind of do think that they require a little bit more time, but I am excited for crossbows. I'm really excited for pipes. Thomas has been teasing pipes for a while. Cassio goes on to ask, Thomas, can we get some ship graveyard screenshots? Thomas says, not yet. There's heavy work being done on this level at the moment. Then finally, as we kind of round down with a little bit of humor, Thomas says, message deleted, otherwise some journalist is going to have a field day with us again. AKA Moon Studios CEO dastardly complains about Nintendo. LOL. And honestly, I think that might get him more credit than he's deserved. I just recently released my Nintendo Switch review and impressions video. While I definitely enjoy the hardware, and it does feel like a really good step up and upgrade from my original Switch, which again is 8 years old. So part of that could just be obviously new goggles and excited for new hardware, which I think that's something that gamers tend to be excited about. But my whole issue is Nintendo, their account management, all the problems that I've had to jump through. If you guys are interested, check out that video. It would mean the world to me. Obviously, it's not going to be a video that's going to do as well as the Wicked Weeklies. But if you guys are looking for another piece of content in your day and you want to learn about my struggles with the Switch 2, while I'm very excited for it as a platform and I'm a diehard Nintendo fan, we got to have that honest conversation, talk about the issues and whatnot. So hopefully you guys enjoy and check that video out. But let's wind down this video with how we like to with our message of hope. Guys, like I said at the start, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness. As iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. I want to talk to you guys today about loneliness. So behind the scenes, what's been going on, if you guys have seen me streaming, a little bit more, just because we've been doing this home renovation. This is something Julie and I have been saving for probably, I think, about 5 years. So there is this sense of accomplishment that is going along with it. The downside is that she is with the kids right now with my parents. We've kind of bounced around from family. So, again, 6 kids, large family, can be a little bit loud. So we're trying not to overstay our welcome with any one group of people. So it's been really great. The kids have been spending a lot of time with grandparents. I've been spending the weekends with them. But being that I have my job, there's just a lot that in my work out of the house, I'm right now in a temporary spot. And I could tell you, hands down, like the aspect of loneliness, I can feel it just kind of creep on like my shoulders, like this uncomfortable blanket that is just not fun. And so any opportunity that I've had to go spend time with the kids, we ended a stream earlier this week, for example, when I was like, oh, the kids are going to go swimming and, oh, great. Let me go spend time with them. But I it's me sharing this is like, there's definitely, I feel very sympathetic to those of you out there who aren't in a position like I am, who don't, either have, a family or if you live by yourself. And that's why I just want to encourage you guys that it's going to take action on your part, but don't let that loneliness kind of creep into your being. We got to kind of fight back against it. Cause the thing I felt like, I was like, gosh, darn it. Like, wow. There's a sense of blessing, and I'm trying not to rub it in people's faces because I know there are you out there who are looking, who want to find, a wife, who are wanting to have a family, and very different circumstances either preventing that or just the cultural aspect of dating apps and more. What I'd encourage you guys, and this is just, again, putting on my Catholic hat, get involved in a men's group in your area. Find people, find buds to really get out of the virtual world and back into the physical. It can be a little bit uncomfortable at first because we've spent so much time online, but that I think would be a huge help in your world. Also, in terms of that, like getting involved, and it maybe doesn't have to be a church, but very different social groups. I hear about, adventures, for example, like to get kind of going out there, meeting people and doing different things in the real world can actually probably help kind of solve for some of that. For me, this is kind of that temporary loneliness, but I can feel it. And it's like, that's where I really appreciate y'all hanging out with me on streams. But yeah, it really does make me appreciate what I have. And I encourage you guys, especially if you're wanting to settle down, yeah, maybe get away from the apps. Everything I've heard, every story that I've heard about that, like, hasn't generally been positive. I'm sure there's exceptions out there, but ultimately everything kind of just feels hollow. And what's the term? Like, it's starts with an S. Superficial. There we go. We found it. We made it happen. And so that's where it's like, yeah, getting involved in a young adult or adult group, meeting people out in the real world. And I find, for me, I met my wife, through a friend from church. That in and of itself is, I'm very lucky and very blessed for that. So for those of you who are out there and are lonely, like, note that, holy crap, dude, I feel for you. And I just want to encourage you to get involved, to do things. And if I can help in any way, just let me know. But outside of that, guys, God bless you. Keep praying for me. I'll keep praying for you. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. But until then, take care.
Ain't no saving, no safe ground. Just crack those spores and battlegrounds. Lord, every stumble carves a name. Light that torch and stake your claim.